Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Fort Wayne Community Schools Board of Trustees. We will start the meeting as we do each time with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Glenna, would you like to start the roll call of members?
Yes, good evening. I'm Glenna Yale from District 2.
Tom Smith, District 3.
Maria Norman, Member at Large.
Ann Duff, Member at Large.
Jordan Lebemoff, the 4th District.
And Steve Corona is not with us this evening. He's there's some sporting event in Chicago, I guess. What's going on? I am Julie Hollingsworth, elected from District 1, and to my far left is Barb Trout, the clerk of the board. Good evening. Good evening. And our superintendent, Dr. Wendy Robinson. Good evening. Good evening. So we begin with awards and recognitions, and we have a very special award this evening. It's recommended that the board recognize Dr. Wendy Robinson for being named the Indiana Association of Public School Superintendents Superintendent of the Year. Each year, the Indiana Association of Public School Superintendents selects one nominee for the Indiana Superintendent of the Year from each district. Those 8 nominees are reviewed by the IAPSS Distinguished Service Awards Committee, and 1 is selected for the 2018 Indiana Superintendent of the Year. And Dr. Wendy Robinson is this year's winner. J.T. Koopman, IAPSS Executive Director, has said, Dr. Wendy Robinson has not only been a steady force guiding one of Indiana's largest school districts, she is a passionate advocate for children and public schools and a national leader for expertise in improving urban education. Hear, hear. Dr. Robinson will be recognized at the IAPSS Awards Banquet in Indianapolis and will go on to compete for the National Superintendent of the Year honor. So, you'd step into the well, Dr. Robinson.
It's your turn.
Is the rest of the board going to come down?
Yeah, I will.
Make this come down?
Sure. That's a
Come
good
on.
idea.
I want a picture. Someone, congratulations. All right, you pose here. Ready?
Ready.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Mr. Murphy, Dr. Murphy, would you like to come down for a picture? We also have a special guest here, Dr. Hardy Murphy, who is the Executive Director of the Urban Schools.
Indiana Urban Schools.
Okay.
And like the student once said, once a kid said he's a doctor, the student would tell him, he said he can't give you a shot, he's not real.
One more picture.
Very great, Krista.
Just get those.
Congratulations.
Hey, I didn't sign this one.
So if, let's just give an opportunity for members, if they have a few words they want to say. Glenna?
Again, this is another example of the way Fort Wayne Community Schools has been blessed. We have a leader who has given tirelessly in order to promote and advocate for our students, always has the back for our teachers, and is a visionary when it comes to not only anticipating but positioning our school district in order to guide us through the turbulent changes that are continually being foisted upon school districts across this nation and even at the state level. So we are very fortunate and very blessed to have Dr. Robinson, and it's no wonder that she is recognized for such a marvelous, marvelous achievement.
Thank you.
Well, I haven't been here that long, but I know Dr. Robinson is the best. I've been keeping my eye on her for years, and she's doing a great job. And, you know, this school system is so well run. Our budgets are so strong. And when we make a promise about raising taxes, that sort of thing, we always keep it within guidelines that we set, and we stick to them. And I think that's one of the great accomplishments of you, Dr. Robinson.
I'll just start off by saying congratulations. And when I think of Dr. Robinson, I think the word vision comes to mind. I'm just in awe of how you lead your staff and the school district with such vision. It's a very large task, and I believe that every day you come in and you attack it with more passion and love than I've seen anybody attack any kind of position. So I'm very proud of you, I'm very proud of the school district, and couldn't think of anyone that deserves the honor more than you.
Thanks, Maria.
I was sitting at my computer today preparing for a conference I'm going to, and I knew I'd have to say something about you. And I thought, well, I wonder what other people who don't necessarily have kids in foreign community schools, aren't teachers in the district, what do they feel about you? Do they have the same feelings I do? So I asked some random people on Facebook. And I got a pretty good response for a last-minute thought. But so I'll read you some of the highlights. This is my husband. That one was in person. Despite the overwhelming use of vouchers in the state, we have not been significantly affected by attendance losses because she's been able to maintain a reputation for Fortin Community Schools that keeps parents interested in sending their kids there. Her message is consistent. Her leadership is consistent. She always looks to see how we can be better all the time. Two different people said you do a great job of keeping the wolves at bay. One person said, I value Dr. Robinson's attitude of not on my watch in terms of losing schools to state takeovers and her speaking out. She has prevented schools from being taken over and kept the school system in great shape. Dr. Robinson is not afraid to tackle the hard issues challenging city schools to stand up for the district in the face of contrary political pressure, and I believe she attempts to include all parties who have a stake in Fortin Community Schools' outcomes in her decision. Dr. Robinson returned the focus to what works for the students, continue to improve schools in face of heavy budget cuts, works hard to promote diversity. Dr. Robinson is well connected in the community because public schools don't and shouldn't exist in a bubble. I also really appreciate the diversity of the public schools here, and I think her leadership has helped foster that. My kids learn much from the multiculturalism at Northside, and I think she has been instrumental in leading by example. So those are just a few of the highlights from community members.
Thank you.
And I made you.
Thank you.
Doctor, it's been a pleasure serving on this board with you. I've gotten to know you as a professional, not as that little second grade student across the hall from what ward. Your dedication is palpable. It touches everyone on this cabinet. It touches all the teachers. And without you as the captain of the ship, I don't think we would be as consistent as we are as one of the choice urban schools of this size in the nation.
Thank you.
And I, agree with everyone's statements. Glenna said it well. These past 7 years have certainly been turbulent times here in Indiana, and you have done an excellent job in guiding Fort Wayne Community Schools through those rough waters, and we have emerged, I think, healthy fiscally, healthy academically. I think the one thing I've noticed most about your leadership style, if it were, is that you are never satisfied. You are always looking for ways that either your staff could improve or the district could improve, and I think that's a mark of a great leader. You're also that rare animal who was, you were grew up in these, you went to school here, you were a teacher here, came up through the ranks, assistant principal, assistant superintendent, and so, you're, as I think someone mentioned, your heart and soul is in this district, and you can tell that every day. Thank you. So we appreciate you.
Do I get to say
Was there anything you want? Okay, so what would you like to add?
On my worst days, I never regret coming to work. This place is just, I have passion because this is the place that inspires passion. I was always told if you hire the right people and you treat them well, that you can work miracles. And it's very awkward for me to sit here. I was not pleased that I had a reception today. I would rather that people just kind of let it pass and we hurry on past this, because I think that it's dangerous when you as an individual don't remember all the shoulders you stand on. And when I was watching the slideshow, and I appreciate people who put that together, there were two pictures that I want people, whenever they think about me, to remember these pictures, because this is why I come to work. One was I was walking down the hall with a little boy at lunch, and he was holding my hand because he didn't know where he was going, and I didn't either, but we were holding each other's hand. And the other was at a showcase where I picked up this little boy who was crying, and his mom was busy. And so, you know how babies know grandmom's touch? And I'm standing there rocking this child. And I take my job seriously from the standpoint that it's not about me, it's about all the children that we make it better for. I want to thank this board for allowing me to do what I do. I have peers who don't have the support of a board, and superintendents can only be as strong as the board that supports them. I want to thank everybody sitting out here. When you were saying that I'm never satisfied, they tell me that all the time. And sometimes I think that we start down a road that when we start, we're not always real sure where we're going. But one of the things I say is it's easy to be bold when you work in a community like this. When the community supports you, when you've got teachers who do any and everything they can to make it right for kids, and when you have administrators that work 24/7 to do the right thing. So it's an honor for me to be here, and thank you for allowing me to be your superintendent.
Like you mentioned, I do also want to mention that, as you said, this really is an honor for the entire district, from the staff you put together to, teachers, custodians, bus drivers, everybody, because it is a team effort.
It is.
But every team needs a good coach.
Thank you. Can we move on, please?
Okay, consent agenda. And these are items that come to us every meeting. They include the minutes from the previous meeting. They include vouchers and payroll, vouchers for the period ending October 9th, payroll for the period ending September 15th. And those are, of course, kept on file for about 7 years, I think, for people to view. And then the personnel report. And Dr. Robinson, was there anything on the personnel report you wanted to highlight?
Not at this time. No.
Okay. So do we have a motion, second, to approve?
So moved.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Tom.
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So now we move on to old business, of which there is none. And now we move on to, and then new business. And first we have the public hearing on the 2018 budgets, capital projects plan, and the school bus replacement plan. The budget was presented by Chief Financial Officer Kathy Friend on September 25th. At that meeting, all 9 board-adopted funds and proposed budgets were discussed, and estimated tax rates were reviewed. The capital projects plan and the bus replacement plan were properly advertised on September 26th in both newspapers, when we had both. The budget was submitted to the Indiana Gateway on September 26, 2017, for public information, so anyone can access that, right? I've never been on that before. I'm going to have to do that. You only got a few hours to kill. According to Indiana law, the school corporation must conduct a public hearing on the budgets, the 3-year capital projects plan, and the 12-year bus replacement plan. A hearing is scheduled for this evening's meeting. The Board of School Trustees. The intent of the hearing is to allow board members the opportunity to receive community input. Board members will be asked to vote on these items at the next meeting, which is October 23rd. So we now open the public hearing for members of the public to address the board regarding the 2018 budget, the 2018 to 2020 capital projects plan, and the 2018 to 2029 school bus replacement plan. So, any member of the public wishing to address the board regarding any of those issues? Okay, seeing none, do I hear a motion that we close the public hearing for the budgets?
Move we close the
Second.
public hearing.
Okay, thanks Linda, thanks Tom. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you've had your chance. Okay, and this brings it to the next item of new business, and that is 2017-18 special education grants. It's recommended that the board approve the acceptance of special education grants from the Indiana Department of Education for the school year 2017-18. That's this year. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA 2004, requires that after the base payment allocations are provided, additional funding is awarded to each district based on public and private school enrollments within the local school jurisdiction and according to the number of private school enrollments within the local school jurisdiction and according to the number of children living in poverty, the National School Lunch Act participants. Funds are used to support salaries and fringes of approximately 126 staff members. These non-competitive grants are in addition to the Special Education Foundation payment. For Fort Wayne Community Schools, this Part B Special Education Grant for the 17-18 school year is $8,496,277, an increase of about $72,000 from last year. The preschool special education grant is $293,334, a decrease of $3,349 from last year. These non-competitive grants are managed by Nikki Sprunger, Director of the Department of Special Education, and support District Goal 1, Achieve and Maintain Academic Excellence. Questions can be answered by Nikki Sprunger. Do we have a motion? Second?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jordan. Anyone have any questions about the special education grants?
I did have one question. The preschool special education grant says that it decreased by the $3,349. Did the number of students decrease?
Yes, it would have gone down. Those grants are based on your December 1 count that we turn in every December 1, along with your APC funds.
And at enrollment, when we took fall enrollments, had your numbers gone up, or they still?
This year? Right now, we're in, numbers are lower now, but we're testing exponentially between now and the fall. We're getting a lot of our Head Start evaluations completed, and we'll start seeing enrollment increase. In fact, I've seen one preschool we talked about today, the possibility of possibly we may have to add an assistant there to assist because we've got a lot of students there, which is a good thing.
Thank you.
I just have a question, because just let me know if I understand this right, because with the special ed preschool, they would enter our system at the age of 3. So it's not the same as like a kindergarten through 12, where they enter at different intervals?
Correct,
Is that correct?
correct. We have to have services in place by their 3rd birthday.
Thank you.
So these monies are based on, obviously, December 1st last year?
Yes,
Okay.
your funds are set on, like, for this year, we'll get our allocations hopefully in May, and those monies will be established from 2018 in the formula, or from the
Oh, I see.
excuse
I
me,
see.
the 2017 December 1 count and the formula that the federal
see.
government has.
I see, okay. Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor of acceptance of the grant, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. And that brings us to the end of our meeting. We have no reports. The next meeting is 2 weeks from tonight on October 23rd at 6 p.m. So we're ready for comments.
No additional comments?
Nothing?
Right? Nope.
Sorry, yeah, I would. I did do a visit to Wayne New Tech last week, and the projects that those students are doing is just amazing. If people in the community haven't been to Wayne New Tech to see what they do out there, the principal is amazing and very personable and will give you the best tour that you've ever had. But it was just really great. I got to interact with the students. They love talking about their projects, which is really surprising because what high school student likes to get up and talk in front of people. So I was just really impressed with the students and the facility and the academics that's going on there. So just really excited to be there and share that experience. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Last week, I was fortunate enough to participate in a panel discussion about vouchers. It was hosted by HuffPost and moderated by Rebecca Klein, who has been to Fort Wayne a couple occasions, and she is their education journalist. And several friends, as well as fellow board members, attended the event, which I greatly appreciated. But when all was said and done, a good friend of mine pointed out that the pro-public education panelists all came prepared with data showing the negative consequences of school vouchers on our public schools, as well as the mediocre results, which you've probably read already, from students who change from a public school and go to a private school. But the school choice advocates only came with anecdotes. So that tells me our legislators prefer anecdotal evidence over facts. So we need to continue to tell our stories about what great things public schools do. We are obviously having a great impact on the 90% of young people who do attend our public schools, but we do need to state this. Tell our stories loud and tell them often.
No comments.
Thanks, Ann. Dr. Robinson, was there anything you wanted to
Just a
mention?
reminder, tomorrow board, we have training. And then we also have some sessions on the 11th. And it goes along with what Ann was talking about. We intend to do a series of 5 meetings in the community to engage the community, not only from the perspective of giving them a peek into the things we are doing, but what we're planning. But I think the other more important part is to get from community members what they see, what they want to see in terms of us being held accountable. And the end result will be an improvement and a revision of our balance scorecard, but also the creation of a dashboard so that we can say out loud more often where we are on things that the community wants to hear. So for the next 2 days, it's just the board and cabinet working to be ready to be good facilitators of conversations with community members. So just wanted to remind you.
Thank you.
And those 5 meetings will take place at each of our high schools, right? And those are,
Later in October.
yeah, later October and then early November, too. Okay, very good. So be on the lookout for that. And we also have, is it next week is Principal for a Day? Or 2 weeks?
The 19th.
It's before our next meeting, I know that, so a week after next, I guess.
That's next week.
Yeah, next week. Okay, very good. School grades were released last week, I believe, by the State Board of Education, and many people, myself included, I don't know if you were surprised, Ann, by a rule that evidently the State Board adopted in 2016, but it really didn't take effect until this year. Did you know about it?
No.
Okay, I didn't. So I guess maybe we should have been paying better attention. So the rule says that new schools get to choose how they're graded for 3 years. They can choose growth only, performance only, or the way that all other schools are graded, and that is a combination of growth and performance. So I thought we were done with changing the rules for different schools when Tony Bennett was voted out, but I guess not. And remember, about 99.9% of all new schools are charters, private voucher schools, and then something that in Indianapolis is called an innovation school, which is where they charterize a school but call it an IPS school. So why is this important? Well, number one, marketing. Those schools are already putting out materials, look, we got an A, marketing to try to attract more students for next year. The other reason, of course, this is important is that when the state sets up a system to grade all schools, I think it's reasonable for us as taxpayers, as board members, as parents, as teachers, to believe that it is a fair and equitable system. Well, it is not. No surprise to educators, most of the new schools have chosen growth only. So, performance is basically the percentage of students that meet that cut score that they define as passing, whereas growth is a measure of improvement from the previous year to this year, which is kind of like saying this is where our teachers take us, take their students. So, I calculated the Fort Wayne Community School grades using growth only. And it's not that hard to do. I mean, there's a spreadsheet of all the information on the IDOE website. And, for example, for all elementary schools and middle schools, there's their performance score, then a 0.5, and then a growth score, and then a 0.5. So the 0.5 signifies that half of each of those is half of the grade. So basically, you just ignore the performance, and you just look at the growth. And if it's 90 and above, you get an A. If it's 80 and above, you get a B, etc. So, you can also do it for the high schools too. So, growth only, Fort Wayne Community Schools would have 35 A's, 8 B's, and 5 C's. That's elementary, middle school, high school. So what that says to me is that Fort Wayne Community School teachers are doing awfully damn good. They are taking our students from here way up to here. And that's what we expect of them. And so to all of our teachers and all of our staff, principals, Dr. Robinson, congratulations. 35 A's, that's the mark of a highly effective district. So, that's all I have.
Hip, hip, hooray.
So, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jordan. All those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. And if anyone wishes to address the board, the microphone is open.